Hi guys, I'm Heather. Welcome to another weekly reading vlog. And this weekly reading vlog is extra special because it is spring break, which means other than a few obligations I have, I'm gonna be spending the week reading books. I will show you the aftermath of the book haul that I just filmed, which is making me scratch my head and go, okay, I don't need to spend money next month on anything. But let's talk about the books that I want to read over spring break. We are starting with A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen. I did start this one last night and I wanted to show y'all. I have the super pretty cover that has the like metallic blue sprayed edges, and so far I am really liking this. I'm only about 30 pages in, but we are following our main character Freya, and she lives in kind of this coastal Viking Norse town. I don't know a lot about that culture, so I'm really trying to be considerate when I talk about it and not get things wrong. But her family basically, like, I don't want to say forced her into a marriage, but like she got married basically out of necessity for her family to this man who was blessed by the gods to have ocean magic, and he's been able to provide for their city by means of providing them with fish and fresh catches and that kind of thing. But he's also kind of a jerk because while he has that magic, he basically makes it so that nobody else has access to fish. So they're very, very dependent on him. And not only that, but he is an utter and complete butthole to his wife. He belittles her. He is abusive, at least so far in words. I don't know if he's abusive any other way to her. And it literally makes me want to slap this man. And this other guy, this warrior, has now come to her town, and they had a little bit of a flirty moment. And I want you guys to know, I don't like cheating in my books, but I feel like the way that this is set up is going to make it okay. That's a really weird phrase to say, but like the way that it's set up, there is no love in this marriage, and she was basically forced into it. And I want her to be happy. I want her to have a legit romance. There's also some sort of secret about her that I don't know, because she seems like she would be totally fine to be a warrior. Like that's what she wants to do, but everybody's telling her, no, nobody can find out about something. So I'm curious to keep reading and find out more about Freya and more about this mysterious warrior who has come to her town. But I will say so far, the setting is immaculate. Danielle L. Jensen is describing the world in which these people live in such a visceral way that I can like smell the fishing town. I can feel the salt in the ocean. It's very, very visual writing, and I love that because sometimes I do have trouble visualizing what I'm reading. And I'll also say that her writing is just lovely. I did try and read The Bridge Kingdom a couple of years ago, and I was really craving fantasy that leaned into magic. And if you know anything about that book, it is fantasy, but there's not really magic, and I just got bored. I might pick it up again in the future, but this one, A+. After I finish that one, or while I read that one, I don't really know, but I really, really want to get to When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I have this on my Kindle through Kindle Unlimited. I don't know anything about the synopsis of this story except that there's like dragons in the sky or something like that, and it's a fantasy romance, and that friends of mine are raving and raving and raving and 5-starring this book, which means I have to get to it because the FOMO is real. So spring break, let's talk about it. I have some videos to edit, obviously. I have some books to read. Tonight, I'm actually going to book club, and I wanted to sit down and talk about that a little bit too, because I try so hard to read my book club books. This month, we picked The Road to Jonestown. It's a nonfiction book about Jim Jones and Jonestown in Guyana, and to be honest, I did not read it. I was going through some really bad anxiety over the weeks that I would have been able to read this book, and I could not pick anything that was heavy up. It was all giving me anxiety, and so I did not get around to reading this book. However, I wanted to go to book club still, and I mean, it helps everybody out to go to book club because then we have more people bringing food and offering up discussion. So even though I did not read the book, I did spend this morning watching some documentaries on Jonestown, which one of them was called Paradise Lost, and I found it on YouTube. And first of all, I didn't know about Jonestown. I don't know how I missed out on this, like learning about this tragedy, but I did. And I don't know that I have ever watched a documentary and felt more sick to my stomach over the evil of a human being than I did watching that. The way that 900 people were just unalive for the sake of this human being that they believed so passionately in is one of the saddest things to me. So we do have that book club discussion tonight. I'm making a salad for it, and it's one of my favorite spring summer salads. So I'll show you how I put that together. It's so easy and it is so delicious. So I'm really excited to share that salad recipe with you guys. And here is the book haul that I was just telling y'all that I filmed. That's a lot of books. It doesn't look like as many as it actually is, but This is good for a couple months. Okay, I'm done. I told y'all I was going to show you the stuff for the salad. So I'm actually going to assemble it there. I'm going to bring it in a big bowl. But the dressing that you need is this Brianna's Blush Wine Strawberry Vinaigrette. This is so good. It's so good. You also need almonds. You need feta. Obviously, you need your lettuce. I'm bringing hearts of romaine, but honestly, any lettuce will do. You need strawberries. So I'm going to slice some strawberries up so that I can bring them a little bit more easily, and then we're going to get going to book club. We are going for completely comfy at book club.
Grape is definitely, is it Flavor Aid or is it Kool-Aid? It's, I think, actual Kool-Aid. So.
Hello, YouTube.
I know you say that you're here for a reading vlog, but I know that you're all just here for Zelda. Let's chat. First of all, we made it to 800 subscribers today. I've been doing this for about a year. I still feel like I am relatively new to it. So I just want to say, if you subscribed today, thank you. It really does mean the world to me. And I'm excited to have some more friends to talk about books with. Secondly, let's do a reading update because I am at page 100 of this lovely book. I do not know what's going on with my bookmark. It is like right in 50,000 directions. I'm pretty sure the cats got hold of it at some point. But I'm at page 100, chapter 11, around that area. This might be a contender for one of my favorite fantasies of the year. Yes, it is a fantasy romance. I think that is what it's classified as. But as far as it just being a solid fantasy, I think it stands out there too. The Norse mythology that is woven into our main character's life and the warlords around her, the warriors around her, and the way that it kind of plays out in her day to day, I am absolutely loving. Even more than that, two things. The setting, I can picture it so vividly. I think the word that I have been using when talking to my friends is I can see it so viscerally. I can smell it. I can almost taste the air. And that doesn't happen to me very often. I feel like fantasy authors, particularly fantasy romance authors, can overuse scent when it comes to people. Oh, he smelled of snow and fresh pine, or he smelled of mint and vanilla. I don't know. That is used so often to the point where it's overdone, and like, I don't care what people smell like. Danielle Jensen gives you the scent of the place. She makes you feel like you are there not only through what you see and what you hear, but what you smell in a way that no author, at least in my recent memory, has done in a while. So props to her, but also her writing in general is just beautiful. This is told in first person, which most of the time when it's told in first person, I lose some of the quality of the writing, but not in this book. The way that Freya speaks in her inner monologue and the dialogue and the way that she sees the world is described beautifully, sometimes brutally, but still beautifully. And I am having the best time. Our love interest has been introduced, and some people might argue with me when I say this, but I don't feel like it's insta-lovey. I feel like she's done a good job at two people who realize that the other person is attractive and can make jokes about attractiveness and lust, essentially. However, neither of them are like, I have feelings for the other person. They're just like, that's a really good looking person, and I'll tell them that they're a good looking person, but no action has been taken. I feel like it's going to be slow burn. I feel like a lot of the war magic is going to be at the forefront for a while before we get into any romance, and I'm here for that. There's a pretty big scene that involved a big group of people earlier, along with magic, along with some violence and brutality, and I am so invested. Unfortunately, but fortunately, because I do enjoy it, I have to go to Moana practice in about an hour. If you've missed it, I'm stage managing for a local theater's production of Moana Jr. And we have practice from 5:45 to 8 tonight. We gotta go sing some songs. When I tell you Moana songs are stuck in my head on repeat. Moana, it's time you knew. The village of Montanu is all you need. I could do the dance too. The dancers are practicing. see. I think I might be able to read one more chapter before I have to get dressed and leave. So let's do that. And I'm so excited to get back into it, guys. So a random fact about me is that when I was little, my comfort food was SpaghettiOs. And as an adult, not much has changed. So I just got home from rehearsal. It's about 9:15. And this is what I'm having for dinner. And it's also the first update of the day. So I did read a little bit of A Fate Inked in Blood today. I don't know if this is just me. When I was little, I hated being made to read. Like if somebody sat me down in the middle of the day, I did not want to read. I loved reading as a kid. I wanted to read when I was comfortable in my bed at night before I went to bed. And that was the only time I liked to read. And so now having that like ingrained in my brain, it is hard to make myself read during the day. I love to read at night. Is that just like a really weird niche, like my childhood thing? Or do other people feel that way ever? So I'm gonna eat dinner, watch a booktube video or two, and then shower and get cozy and read until the late hours of the morning because I'm on spring break. My phone does not know what to do with the spring lighting, so I'm sorry that the lighting is weird. My face is also super shiny because I just did some like intense moisture skincare. So it's spring break. I don't have to look presentable for anybody right now except that I put myself on the internet, but it's fine. So this morning I spent a few hours doing some spring cleaning, like cleaning up litter box areas, deep cleaning the kitchen and the bathroom, you know, stuff that needs to be done on top of doing laundry. So I had a lot of listening time to listen to Half a Soul. I'm actually 78% through the book now, so let me update that. So I think I'm at about page 163. So actually, I think I'm probably further than that. I'll figure it out later. But I'm really enjoying the book more than I was in the vlog last week, and I was enjoying it quite a good bit there. But now we are definitely diving more into the magical fairy side of things in the book, and it is making it a really, really fun experience. And it's also just making me so excited for the next season of Bridgerton. I don't know what it is about spring, but like I live for the colors and the music and the visuals of that show in the spring. So I'm really excited about it. But I'm putting that down for now because for the majority of the afternoon, I'm going to jump back into A Fate Inked in Blood. I am being chaotic and not using a bookmark right now. I'm using the desk jacket. I'm on chapter 17, which is pretty much right at 50% through the book. I got home from rehearsal last night and was like, man, I want to read. And I was in the mood to read, but I got in the bed and chapter 16 was a 30-page long action sequence heavy chapter. And by the end of the 30 pages with no break, my brain was like, we're done for right now. Let's put it down and pick it back up tomorrow. So I have about 6 hours of uninterrupted time that as soon as I eat lunch, I'm going to spend reading. Me and my bestie are going to dinner tonight. So that will be, you know, kind of the end goal of all of this is I will put my book down when it's time to get ready for dinner. And I'm really pumped about dinner. Here is the queen herself. But a few more comments about the book. I told you there was a very action heavy sequence. My brain struggles with action, but overall I feel like it flowed pretty well. Some discussions on characters. So our main character's name is Freya, and she has two very dominant characteristics right now. One is that she does not think through her choices and how they will either hurt her or hurt others. And that is slightly frustrating to deal with as a main character because we are in her first person inner monologue, and it's either that she is not thinking about what she is about to do, or the only other thing that she thinks about is how much she wants to spice things up. Please remember, I'm a teacher and sometimes I have students that watch my channel, so I have to be very creative in the way I phrase things sometimes with our male main character. And then her like going back and forth of, I should do this, I shouldn't do this. It would be detrimental, but it would also be really fun. That's a lot of her brain, and that's pretty much all of her brain. Also her telling us that she's not good at certain things, but she's really good at other things. I want to get to know her more. I want to get to know about like the things that she loves and doesn't love, and there's got to be other things that occupy her brain other than what I've said already. But our male main character, his name is, I believe you pronounce it Bjorn. I love him. He is like, I picture kind of like a Cassian type guy, like big, broad, dark hair, man bun, you know. He's covered in tattoos because he is a warrior and he has also been blessed by the gods. And when you are the child of a god, you have a very certain type of tattoo. So he's covered in those. And by all appearances, he should be like a gruff, grumpy, like all business all the time type guy. But I feel like for fantasy especially, he is a male main character that possesses emotional intelligence and acts on his emotional intelligence. And that is something that I am appreciative of. I'm not saying he's like a total cinnamon roll. Like, this guy can go into a battle and kill 5 people with the swing of his fiery axe. But when it comes to the people in his close proximity that he needs to care about, like, he doesn't just care. He goes above and beyond, and that is extremely refreshing to see. So, I'm enjoying this book. Talking to different groups of friends has been interesting because I know one of my friends just finished this book and she like had to round it up to a 3 stars. Meanwhile, I'm buddy reading this with another group of friends and we're all on the like, this is a 4 or 5 book train. So I'm curious to see where it goes as we progress. Like I said, I have several devoted hours to spend reading right now and I am amped about that. Also, last thing, and then we'll change the lighting situation because I know that's not fun to look at. Music is such an important thing to me while I read. Reading is what I do to de-stress and to get rid of any anxiety that I bring home with me, and music helps with that so much. So I have been enjoying my Spotify day lists in particular. I tend to only listen to instrumental music on Spotify unless it's something for school or I have an album that I'm definitely wanting to listen to. Most of it is like anti-anxiety instrumentals, and my day lists have been so fun as they try and come up with new music for me. I'll post some of the names of my day lists here, but I'm gonna put one of those on. The only other time I get day lists that have like words or that kind of music is if they're basing it off of things I listen to in my classroom, because sometimes we'll listen to like Disney or Broadway or something and they'll try and make me a day list out of that, which I don't want. I need 2 separate Spotifys, one for my classroom and one for like my own personal reading enjoyment, but that's asking a lot, isn't it? So let's get to eating lunch and reading, and I will come back when I have a book update for you. I've read about 50 pages this afternoon, but guys, it's coffee time. I haven't had any coffee today. So we're gonna use the handy dandy mushroom mug. This is the current Nespresso that I have been loving because I can just get it from Kroger. It's the Starbucks creamy vanilla. So good. It's just like normal coffee, pod sized. And I just pop it in my Nespresso and we're gonna have ourselves a good cup of coffee. Coffee that is bigger than your face is always a good idea. Hey guys, it is the next day. It is now Thursday. I hope you enjoyed some of the B-roll of our fun dinner last night. It was such a good time. Without going into details, it was a dinner we didn't have to pay for. And so we were able to just like pick and choose from a variety of so many different foods. And it was so nice to just not have to be caught up on like what you're ordering, which I know is a privilege. Like, this is not normal for me, but we had some really good appetizers, and I got some steak medallions and mushrooms and mashed potatoes for dinner. And then we got several desserts to just kind of like try, and we split them, and I had leftovers, and it was just a really fun time. I got a couple of fun beverages, and I came home with every intent to read last night. But when you know you have like a full stomach and you've had some fun beverages, sometimes you just crash, and so that's what happened. But today I have been rotting in bed all day. I did want to come say that I read the last 40% of this morning, and I have thoughts. Guys, this book started so incredibly strong for me. The sense of setting, the sense of character, the way that she just made me feel like I was there and immersed in the world immediately was a 10 out of 10. As the story started going and we started getting into kind of more of, I don't even want to say like the political scheming, but more of the battles and more of the war heavy stuff, I definitely felt like the plot started lagging a little bit, but also I felt like the characters lost some of their appeal. And I'm saying this like very precariously because I wanted to love this so bad. I will say I started making some like theories and predictions because sort of a mystery starts to blossom in the middle of the book, and I think that mystery got answered at the end, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm like 90% sure that it got answered. So if you've read this book and you want to chat about it, DM me on Instagram because I need full clarity that I understood something correctly. But I kept reading mainly to answer that mystery, to answer that question that was just going back and forth in my brain as I was reading. But I have to say, ultimately, what was a 5-star prediction ended up being a 3.5. I just thought that like we started here, we dipped down to here for like, I don't know, 40% to like 80%, and then it was a slow incline at the end of the book. I'm definitely intrigued enough to pick up the second one when it comes out, but it wasn't a 5-star like I hope it would be. I have been buddy reading this with a couple of my friends on Marco Polo and then a different group in Discord, and everybody has such differing thoughts. I will say there were some pretty creepy scenes in this book that I enjoyed. Again, every time that we are introduced to a new place, the author's sense of place and just making you feel immersed in the setting immediately is there. But I felt like I just didn't care much about Freya once she started making decisions. I'm trying not to give too much of anything away, but I did like Bjorn. I liked the love interest a lot. He was a warrior while still having a soft heart, and I could really appreciate that. The other thing, my last complaint, and then we're gonna move on, is that this book doesn't have a map. Like, we go straight from the title page into the story, and I feel like it could have really benefited from a map because we are not in one place for a long time in this book at all. We are constantly moving to new locations. Sometimes we move to a new location so quickly that I'm like, it's not possible to travel that far in that amount of time. But if I'd seen a map, I might have been able to make better sense of it. So small complaint there. Then when I was getting ready for dinner last night, I finished this book, which I think I gave a 3.75. It was really good, really sweet, but it wasn't one that I was like thinking of constantly when I wasn't reading it. So I loved the way it ended. Mostly it just made me excited for Bridgerton. So it's only Thursday, which means I still have the rest of today, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to read something new in this vlog. And I'm so excited to say that I am picking up When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. This book has been probably like my most anticipated book of the week, to be honest. Between seeing Brittany at Books with Brittany and Rachel at Raven-Haired Reader talk about this book, amid tons of other people on Instagram that have been posting about it, I am just over the moon, to get to this book. I don't know what it's about because everybody is very vague when they talk about it, which just like piques my interest even more. I have been told not to read the glossary because it can spoil parts of the plot, so I hope I don't get too lost. I am actually watching some booktube right now, and then I do have rehearsal tonight, but I think I'm gonna get a coffee after rehearsal and just, live on the wild side and start this book and see how far I can get. I think it's pretty chunky. I'm reading it on my Kindle, so sorry if you can hear my cat. They're so weird, but I'm gonna read it on my Kindle, so I probably won't even realize how chunky the book actually is. And if I end up giving it 5 stars, I will be purchasing a copy for myself because it is just beautiful. There is nothing that will wake a person up faster than the noise a cat makes right before it, okay. Let's get this day started, I guess. Hey guys, I almost said happy Saturday when it is most definitely Friday, and I am not trying to make my spring break go by any faster. So happy Friday. It is mid-afternoon. I've had a really cozy day so far. It's raining outside. It's gloomy. Even though the rain stopped, it's still overcast. It is just the perfect afternoon to stay curled up here on the couch. You can see I've got my Kindle and my little gooseneck over here, so I can just like lay down on the couch, disassociate, put my noise canceling headphones on, and pretend that I am floating in the atmosphere, much like I prefer to be doing all the time, listening to my day list, which is probably something like disassociative video game violin terror or something. I don't know what it is right now. I have been reading When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. This book, I think it's marketed as a fantasy romance. We are not anywhere close to romance happening on these pages, but this is making me want to go knock down the star rating of every other fantasy romance that I've read this year. And those are big words, but this is one of the most beautifully written books I have ever read. And I was talking in a friend Discord that I'm in today that this book feels like when I'm visualizing things in my brain, I'm visualizing everything happening with the animation of Breath of the Wild, like the Zelda game. The colors, like I just see these like visceral pastels and deep reds, and the costuming of what the people are wearing is like a Zelda game to me. Is that totally random? Probably so, but it is making the reading experience phenomenal. Now, can I tell you what this book is about? I really can't. I don't know where the book is going yet, but the writing is stunning. The characters are so believable, and you're just kind of thrown into the world, and you have to play catch up with learning what's going on, but not in a way where I feel confused 100% of the time. Am I a little confused? Yes. Could I go look in the glossary? Also yes, but I'm afraid that the glossary is going to spoil some things for me after talking to people. So I don't know how much I should be relying on the glossary. But so far we've got assassins, we've got a ton of different categories of dragons. We've got a very believable, not only world, but just like the city that we're in is set up in such a really cool way. Our main character is mean. Like, she is mean. And I'm talking as in like she is an assassin, and the way that she handles her assassinness is just very believable. You guys know I love some Selena Sardathian, but also I'm like, you're an assassin that sticks your tongue out at people when they do things you don't like, and you eat chocolate that's left on your bed without questioning where it's from. Our heroine in When the Moon Hatched would not do that. She wouldn't. She would make smart choices, at least from what I can tell, being almost 100 pages in. So continuing on this rainy, gloomy day, I'm about to lay down on this couch, continue reading with my wonderful Kindle stand and my wonderful purring cat that is right here beside me. And we're going to keep reading and get as far as we can. This book flies by. Normally, like if the writing is really, really good and beautiful, it slows down my reading, but that's not happening either. So I don't know what kind of magic, literal magic, has been put in this book that's just making me binge it like this, but it is that good. I would really like to make some brownies, and I have a meeting at 6 p.m. It's online, and then I am doing reading sprints with Keisha and Yvette later, so that will be fun, and I'll get some more reading in. Let's dive back into this cozy game book. It is like 10:20 on Friday now. You can see I've been on the couch a lot of today reading my new obsession. This book is so good. I feel like I'm so much more in this world than I have felt in a fantasy book in such a long time. And it's not like there's a ton of POVs or anything, but just like from the few that we get, I feel like we are spanning so much of the universe. Nothing is explained to you like you are dumb. You are just kind of expected to pick up the pieces as you go, which sometimes can be intimidating and overwhelming, but you learn things in such an organic way. I still can't really tell you what the plot is, but I can kind of explain the setting to you. There's kind of these 5 gods that created the world, and now years, eons later, different people are kind of blessed by different gods, and I guess they're fae. So different fae are blessed by different gods with their powers and the ability to hear them singing and speaking and communicating. And you can tell who has been like gifted from what god by beads that they either wear in their ear, or in different parts of the world they might wear them in their hair or in their beards. And people who are not blessed with a gift by a god just have a notch in their ear. I guess it's kind of like a brand, except they're not branded with anything. They just have like a little nick out of their ear. Our main character's name is Rave, and she is an assassin. Reeve or Rave, I'm not sure. There is a pronunciation guide. I'm just tired right now. And I won't tell you anything about whether or not she's been gifted by a god or if she's a null or anything like that. But she is an assassin working for kind of this rebellion group. And you see her as she goes on some of her assignments. And you also see the way that she interacts with the world around her. You learn why she is so heartless and ruthless, but you also learn that she might not be as heartless as she wants to come across when she is talking about her feelings and the capacity that she has to feel and be vulnerable. I have highlighted so many of those quotes already. And while I was on sprints with Keisha and Elise, guys, the feeling roller coaster that I experienced was intense. There was something heartbreaking that happened. There was something so violent and gory that happened that I actually felt sick to my stomach. And I'm still just over here rooting for her. She is in a terrible predicament right now. There are very cool creatures that exist in this world that are so different than any other fantasy that you've read. Even the dragons are different. You're also experiencing these journal entries that you're not quite sure how they fit into the narrative. I have some predictions about ways that they might fit, but nothing has been confirmed yet, so I might be totally off base. And the world is still so big with so much left to explore, and I don't exactly know where the plot is heading now, but I'm at 25%. I need to shower and I need to get in the bed because I am definitely feeling tired right now. But I have a feeling that tomorrow, other than maybe taking a walk, this is all I'm going to be doing, and we'll see how far we get tomorrow. I really want to finish this before spring break is over. Fingers crossed. Hey friends, it is chaos behind me. I haven't made my bed yet, and I had to put that pillow up on that wardrobe last night because Zelda kept jumping up there and screaming at me. I don't know why. Let's talk about reading yesterday, because When the Moon Hatched is literally so good. I have not read a book like this ever. I stayed up past midnight reading, which normally I don't do because my body thinks that it is like 50 years older than it is and needs to go to sleep early, and I still did it. I woke up at 10 this morning, which shows you how late I went to sleep, and I am so excited to spend the whole day reading. This is the only day of spring break I've had or will have where I have nothing to do except stay home. So we're gonna go get ourselves a coffee. We're gonna go to the Dollar Tree and pick up some water flavor packs because if you know, I cannot drink plain water. Like, it's so boring. It's a waste of my time. I need something with flavor. I got a iced vanilla latte because I asked on Instagram what people's favorite coffees were, and Stephanie said an iced vanilla latte. So I got that with cold foam and a caramel drizzle. I got it half sweet because if y'all know 7 Brew, their coffee is sweet. Let's give it a taste test. Exactly what I needed for this last day to myself. Hey guys, it is like almost 3 o'clock, I think, and it's time for a brownie break. I have made it to 36% of the way through When the Moon Hatched, and my thoughts are still the same. I am loving this book so much. We just got a change of location. Some major dragon stuff has happened. The introduction of who I believe our love interest just like solidified, and our main character Rave is still just a stabby little menace, and I love her so much. She's just like bitter and brutal, and for all the right reasons. Not just because she can be, but because she has legitimate reasons to be so mad at the world. And I cannot wait to see where her story and where our male interest Khan, where his story, he's a king. Like, not a prince. He's a king. We are growing up in this book. and I'm here for it. So I'm gonna make my very large serving of brownies because your girl has a headache and I want chocolate. And then we're gonna get back to reading. Well guys, I took an accidental crash on the couch. My neck and back are hurting so bad, like all right up in here. And that has made it very difficult to read. So I decided to take a nap. I went to the gas station around the corner and got an Alani Nu. This is the Tropsicle flavor. I was looking for the new orange flavor because I love orange flavored stuff, but they did not have it. And I am coming to the realization that in this vlog, I am not going to finish When the Moon Hatched, but I did make it to 50%. And so I decided I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the vlog here so I can start a new one tomorrow. But let's talk about everything I read and did, because I'm really excited to edit this little spring break vlog. So first of all, I finished listening to Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. I thought this book was adorable. I gave it, I think 3.75 stars or 3.5, I can't remember. But I really, really liked it, but it's not one that like I finished and I kept thinking about, and I knew that I was gonna feel that way when I finished it. But this was so sweet, very Bridgerton, Regency London vibes. I loved the romance more than I loved the magic. So really, this did a great job at making me excited for Bridgerton season 3. I am going to continue reading this author's books because I'm curious to see what else she has the capacity to write, but this was a good time. I also read A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen, and this one was kind of a roller coaster. It started so strong, thought it was going to be 5 stars, got a little slow with pacing in the middle, wish it had a map, a couple things I didn't understand that got a little bit confusing, but I really, really liked the male love interest. I gave this one 3.5 stars, and I am going to continue in the series once it comes out. It just had some issues that I feel like could have been remedied or handled in a different way, but that's okay. Not every book is a perfect book, but this was a fun book. And then, of course, I have started When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker, and this is kind of my new personality. Everything about this book feels like it would translate into a open world video game so well. The different territories, the different characters, the different types of characters, the storyline, the way that we go in shops, and there's so many different items that have all been completely made up by this author. All of these creatures that have been made up by this author, plus the storyline that I still don't have a full grasp on, but that I'm fully invested in, which tell me how that happens. I don't know. And on top of that, I just had a very restful spring break full of Moana rehearsals and hanging with my best friend, and most of all, reading. So I'm gonna let you go right here. If you watched all the way to the end of this vlog, why don't you leave me a drink of your choice emoji? It can be coffee, it can be a fun drink, it can be a soda, I don't care. Just leave me a drink. Cheers to you, cheers to me. Hi, and welcome to all of my new subscribers. It's so nice to have you here. And me and Kitten, hey baby, we will see you in another video very soon. Bye guys.